Welcome to my YouTube channel, Secret Affairs Exposed. This is where we uncover the hidden and shocking stories of secret love, affairs that were never meant to come to light. Now, let's dive into today's topic. It started on a quiet Tuesday morning. A white box tied with a soft ribbon waited on my doorstep. Inside was the most beautiful cherry pie I'd ever seen, golden crust, shiny red filling. And a handwritten note: "I made this just for you, Margaret. Hope it reminds you of him. Love, Nora." I smiled. My daughter-in-law had never been so thoughtful, or so I believed. Di set the pie on the kitchen counter, started brewing coffee, got out my good china. I wanted this to feel special. I wanted to honor the memory of my late husband, David. He loved cherry pie more than anything. It was the first dessert we made together. When we fell in love, I stepped away for just a moment. Max, my golden retriever, jumped on the counter. He had his face buried in that pie, his tail wagging happily. "Max, no." I pulled him away. He'd eaten only a small corner. I wasn't even mad. He was always stealing food. But 5 minutes later, he collapsed, panting, shaking foam at the mouth. His eyes wild with fear. I screamed. I lifted all 70 pounds of him into the car, drove like I was flying, my heart racing faster than the engineette. The emergency vet, Dr. Rodriguez, rushed him in. What did he eat? The pie. I said it was from someone I knew. My daughter-in-law, Nora. 2 hours later, she came back with blood results. He's been poisoned. Severe toxicity in his system. He's fighting, but it's serious poison in a pie meant for me. Max had saved my life by being greedy. And my world tilted on its axis. I called the police, told them everything, and 30 minutes later they were standing outside Nora's door. But to understand how we got to that moment, you need to know everything that led up to it. Let me take you back. 8 months earlier, when Nora first entered our lives, when I thought she was the one who would finally make my son happy. My son James had always been private to private sometimes, so when he brought Nora home for dinner, I was shocked and excited. She was beautiful, polite, soft-spoken, everything a mother could hope for, or so it seemed. They had met at a tech conference in San Diego. She was a freelance UX designer. He was running a small cybersecurity firm. They said it was instant chemistry from the outside. They looked perfect. They moved in together after 2 months, engaged by the third. But something about Nora always felt slightly off. She smiled with her mouth, but not her eyes. She always watched people too closely, like she was scanning for something, reading them like a file. Still, I tried to accept her for James. When David died, she stayed by my side, brought me meals, held my hand during the funeral. She even took care of Max when I couldn't get out of bed. I thought maybe I'd misjudged her. Maybe she was just shy. But as time went on, little things started happening. My jewelry went missing. She blamed the housekeeper. James believed her. Me medication switched. Half the labels in the cabinet changed. She said it must have been the pharmacy. I started writing dates on bottles to be sure. But it kept happening. James was blind to it all. He was in love. Deeply, madly, foolishly. And then, one day I overheard a phone call. Nora was in the kitchen whispering. I stayed quiet in the hallway, not intentionally, but something told me to listen. She said, "I'm working on it. She trusts me now. It won't take long." Yes, the will is in the drawer in her study. Just a few more weeks. My blood ran cold. I backed away, sat in the living room, pretending to read when she walked out, smiling like nothing had happened. Di didn't tell James, not yet. I needed proof, because even though I was his mother, I knew he wouldn't believe me. Without IT, started documenting everything, every misplaced object, every strange charge on my credit card, every odd conversation, and then I installed a camera in the study. 3 days later, I watched her open the drawer, pull out my will, photograph every page, then make a call. He left it all to her. That's what she said over the phone, her voice full of disappointment. That was the moment I realized she wasn't just dangerous. She was planning something big. And that was when I decided to play her game, to pretend like nothing was wrong until I had enough to destroy her completely. After I saw the footage, I didn't confront her. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I made her believe I trusted her more than ever. I started praising her cooking, inviting her to family dinners, giving her old family recipes. She smiled like she'd won. She even started calling me mom. I smiled back, but inside I was preparing my move. Max became my guard. He followed her every step. He didn't like her animals. Sense what we often miss. One night, I pretended to fall asleep on the couch. Nora quietly entered the room, opened my purse, removed my spare house key, and slid it into her baggie. Watched through the small security cam I had hidden behind a vase-proof. Piece by piece, I was building a case. Meanwhile, James had started acting distant. He came over less, answered calls late. He looked tired, confused. Even guilty one day he came by alone. I asked him if everything was okay. He said work was hard, but I knew something else was going. Oni leaned in, told him I loved him no matter what. His eyes welled up, but he said nothing later. That week, Nora brought over homemade soup, said it was for my bad knee, Max. Sniffed it, growled, didn't touch his food all day. That's when I knew. She had tried something again, but I didn't call the police. Not yet. Instead, I had the soup tested privately through a friend who worked at a university lab. Results came back traces of a sedative, one used to confuse memory, alter mood. It wouldn't kill me, but it would make me forget things. Act irrational, lose credibility. She wanted me to seem unstable, so if anything ever happened, I'd look crazy. Paranoid, unreliable, but now I had hard proof. The only problem, James still wouldn't listen. He defended her, said I was stressed, said maybe grief had gotten the best of me, realized I couldn't save him just yet, but I could save myself, so I created a plan to make her feel invincible, make her confident enough to make one final mistake. The pie was that mistake. The pie came on a Monday morning. Perfect crust, warm cherry filling, and a note that said, "Just for you, Margaret, you deserve something." Sweet tit was everything David loved. It was meant to look like a kind gesture, but I knew better. Max got to it before I did. Took one bite and collapsed. If he hadn't, I wouldn't be here telling you this story. I rushed him to the vet. They found poison. Same substance used in the soup, only stronger, fast-acting, lethal in larger doses while Max fought for his life. I called the police, told them everything they asked for proof. I gave them the lab reports, the surveillance footage, the photos of my altered medication, even the note from the pie box. I showed them her phone call transcript thanks to a backup app James had installed months ago for company security. They took it seriously for once. I felt seen, protected. The officers went to her apartment, knocked politely. She answered in her robe, holding a cup of coffee, acting like she was above the world. They asked her about the pie. She laughed, said it was just a kind gesture. They told her about the poison. Her face froze then. She made her biggest mistake, she said. Margaret probably poisoned her own dog to get attention. She's old, she forgets things. She's been off for months, and that was her undoing because one of the officers recognized my name. His daughter worked at the vet clinic. He'd seen me crying over Max. He knew I wasn't unstable. He'd seen the truth with his own eyes. They asked her to come in for questioning. She refused, slammed the door. 2 hours later, they returned with a warrant inside her apartment. They found more than just ingredients. They found documents, forged papers, copies of my will, altered pages, proof that she had tried to gain access to my accounts. It was more than attempted poisoning. It was fraud, premeditated manipulation, and attempted theft. They arrested her on the spot. James came over that night. His hands were shaking, his eyes swollen. He sat at the table where I had placed the pie box, still untouched, still marked with her handwriting. Sorry, Mom, he whispered. I nodded, didn't say a word. He told me everything. How she isolated him from friends, controlled his calendar, deleted voicemails, redirected emails from me. She had told him I didn't want him around. She had been slowly turning him against me, and he, like a fool in love, had believed every word. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I needed peace. Max survived barely. He was weak for a week, but slowly he healed, and every time he wagged his tail, I remembered how close I came to losing everything. Nora was denied bail. The evidence was overwhelming, and thanks to the forged documents, she was facing federal charges. The media got wind of the story, but I stayed silent. Let justice speak for itself. James moved back into the guest house. We didn't talk much at first, but over time, he started leaving coffee on my table again, just like when he was a teen. Will left everything to an animal rescue foundation. Max's face is now their mascot. I removed Nora from every photo, every file, every memory that had her fingerprints. But I kept the note from the pie box, framed it, hung it in the kitchen as a reminder. Some poison comes in pretty packages. Sometimes evil smiles sweetly, but the truth always finds a way to rise, and when it does, it doesn't knock. It kicks the damn door down. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Secret Affairs Exposed for more powerful real-life stories like this one.